if what the Gnostics warned is true. The archons primarily are mind parasites. They don't have the capacity really to incarnate as human beings, but they have the capacity to go so deeply into our minds that we can try to become them. They make us try to become like they are. That's how I understand what they would do. And I see many indications of us going in that direction in the current technology, in nanotechnology, bionics, and those things that you are looking at, on your site.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I mean, there are so many points there that I want to pick up on, but one thing at a time here. They're the reason for them for, changing us, so to speak, for going first into our minds and then changing our bodies, which consequently also reflects our minds, so we would change our own mentality.
Exactly.
Would that, the interest from the archons, do you think that is for, what is their own purposes for you, or do they want to use us for something? Is there galactic war going on? What's happening?
No. I have to tell you, what I'm going to tell you now is extremely weird, but I am not making it up. What I'm going to tell you now is my best expression of what I have found in the Gnostic writings. The first point is absolutely clear. The Gnostics say that the motivation of the archons is envy. They use that word envy, phonos in Greek. They say that the archons envy us because we're kind of like a cousin species to them. But we are the privileged cousins because we live in a paradise, which is the Earth and the biosphere. And they live out in the solar system at large, and they have hardware, I'm sure they do, and they move around among the various planets, and they have space stations among the various planets. And as you know, there's been quite a bit of confirmation of this since NASA has been out there poking around. Okay? But they envy us because we live in an actual paradise. We live in a place that is sensual, in a place that is beautiful, in a place that is sheltered from the rest of the universe. And so the first thing that they teach us about them is that they envy us. The second thing they say is really mind-boggling. They say that the Gnostics, that the archons operate in a senseless manner, that they have no real plan, that they're just senselessly disrupting us. And they get a certain satisfaction out of doing that. They get kind of a vicarious thrill when we are fearful and confused. The intensity of the emotion of fear and the intensity of confusion seems in a way to feed them. And so in the final analysis, and I know this is not an easy thing to accept, but I'm giving you my best research here. In the final analysis, they're tricksters. They're tricksters. They're not really predators who want to come in and take over the Earth and turn it into the Matrix. And then they, if they did that, they wouldn't even have any satisfaction. They'd probably just go on and do something else somewhere else. They are tricksters, and their fascination is with our minds. It's a mind game. It's a battle in the mind. It's a cosmic test. I have an article on the site in which I draw more than 12 exact parallels between the archons and the so-called flyers that are described in the work of Carlos Castaneda. The last book of Castaneda, called The Active Side of Infinity, was published just after he died. And many people may not have read that last book of Castaneda, but I tell you, it's absolutely remarkable because it deals completely with this subject, with predators and psychic invasion. That's the subject of that book. And he calls these predator entities the flyers, and he describes them in many ways that are exactly parallel to what the Gnostics say. And at one point, Castaneda is having a conversation with Don Juan, and I would add, by the way, it doesn't matter if you believe if this is made up or not.
Sure.
Because the truth comes in fictional form and in factual form.
I believe so, yeah.
So Castaneda is having this conversation with Don Juan, who says to him, and he's a very ancient, old shaman who can detect these beings, and Don Juan says, they're the way that the universe tests us. to see if we can master our own minds. And I believe that that's the final statement about the Archons. It's a test. They are tricksters. They're malicious tricksters. But they don't really have any grand plan or any grand scheme behind it. They just like to fuck with our minds.
So, I mean, within the framework of the universe, one questions, but what is their purpose then? But
they don't have a purpose.
But I think that they do. I mean, if they kind of represents a kind of a breakdown aspect to what the universe creates and so forth. This is a way for the universe to make something stronger or better or more efficient or what have you. If we look at nature, these things happen all the time. There is a cycle of death, so to speak, winter, and then we have the summer or spring, when things grow. But
right.
It's a necessary process in order for the continuation of the universe. So in effect, they do feel a purpose to kind of, if we compare it to how bacteria and antibodies work or whatnot, would you say that might be, the reason for them, so to speak?
I agree with you, and I follow you on that. When I say they don't have a purpose, what I mean is that they in themselves don't have a designated aim for their activity.
Right.
Yet, you are absolutely correct. The nature of the activity and the way that it affects our species has a purpose in the great scheme of things. I believe that they are tricksters from beyond the earth who invade our minds and who test us, and that we must face the Archons. And I've faced them many times, and many people have met them. But unfortunately, in the UFO ET literature, there's not enough information about how to resist these beings, And they can be resisted. And in fact, the Gnostic teachings contain explicit information about how to resist them and repel them.
Really now?
Yes, Kundalini and the Alien Force is perhaps the most important essay on this subject in Metahistory.org. Kundalini and the Alien Force describes cites Gnostic documents and describes techniques used to repel these mind parasites. So there is a game going on here. There is a test involved, and it's a cosmic test. And you are absolutely right. It falls into the general plan of evolution that we would be tested in this way.
And those who kind of succumb, I guess, to their trickery,
right.
Is that a way? And this is going to sound horrible, but who knows what the construct of the universe is? Things die all the time. What I'm getting at is this a way for the universe to actually, clean off some of the, how should I put it? A consciousness that hasn't taken control of itself, so to speak, meaning that they can't fight out these forces, and this is a way for the creation to advance, through generations, so the consciousness actually becomes more efficient, stronger, better, more, independent, whatnot. Do you think that could be the case?
In my view, my friend, that is exactly the case. And I couldn't say it better myself. I was having some one time, which I was having doing some explorations in heightened awareness, put it in that way, and I was practicing some shamanism, you could say. And when I practice shamanism, I do it with specific intention. I just don't do it recreationally, I sit around and look at hallucinations.
Understand.
But I ask questions, and I pursue things. And in one particular session, I asked a question about the Archons. I asked what was their purpose in the scheme of the earth. And the answer I got was exactly what you just said. They're here to clean out the part of our species that cannot take responsibility for its own mind. Because, see, mind is our gift. The Gnostics called it nous, N-O-U-S, and they taught that our intelligence is a spark of divinity, that we have a spark of divine intelligence in us, nous, and that what makes our species unique and what makes it novel and allows us to play and invent and create and innovate is that we have this divine intelligence, but it's being tested, and in those members of our species that it's not mastered, will be sheared away, and the Archons are in a sense the tool for shearing away a part of the human species.
Yeah. And that's, as I said, that is kind of, well, I don't know. I mean,
it's very scary.
Yeah.
But I think it's true.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a reason why there are, so many philosophies around. The humanity as such is still, pondering what the purpose of everything is, obviously. And
that's right.
And we can't, in front of that, we can't say, no, the universe isn't that brutal. In a way, it actually goes back to the idea that we talked about earlier, that if it is the case that a creator God needs a sacrifice, how again can we question that, can we question that idea, meaning that we might not be in a position right now to understand why that is a necessary, act or whatever for the universe to sustain itself.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas?
Well, in this case, I think it's an elegant solution. By the way, it's Sophia's solution. Sophia is my name taken from the Gnostic myth for Gaia, for the intelligence of the earth. She is the hostess with the mostess, as we say in the States. She is the planet on which we live, and she is also the responsible for the creation of the archons. She produced the archons, and if you want to learn about how that happens, you have to read the Gnostic creation myth. But as I understand Sophia has great faith in human intelligence. She believes in the particular gift of our species and celebrates it. And yet she also gives our species the option to eliminate itself.
Yeah, well,
we can eliminate ourselves.
That's freedom.
And we're doing a fantastic job of it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Not only because of the pollution that we've created out of our ignorance, because we haven't corrected our mistakes, remember, haven't corrected our errors. It was an error to create the internal combustion machine without first solving the problem of the pollution that it would cause. That was an error.
Well, I actually don't agree with you there. I see that is a perfect way for us during that particular time in history when that technology became available, when the discovery of oil in that sense was made. But what I do see as a faulty thing, though, is that our lack of moving on from there right now. Right. I mean, there are so many technologies available, and on one, I mean, I'm kind of jumping between the both of these sides, so to speak. I don't know if you have a more cautious, overall cautious mindset towards technology and the development of it. I see it more that it is, beneficial to our development, and the reason for that we are involved in it is because we actually are creators in a sense ourselves, and we want to create and improve our environment or whatnot. But again, obviously, this can always be used at a negative usage, and we can as a consequence of that. And you're right there that we are.
Well, I don't have any objection to that view at all. In fact, I like what you said.
Sure.
Very much. In the time and setting that it was invented, the combustion engine internal combustion engine was an appropriate invention for us. And the problem is that we didn't move on and improve it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We stayed with the model that we invented in the first place, even when we knew that it had very bad side effects.
Well, and then we have people, adding lead to the gasoline that wasn't necessary from to begin with. The diesel engine from the German guy, I think Diesel, that was even more environmentally friendly than the stuff we use today, basically.
Right, that's right. So I agree with you on that. I think that I do have a very cautious view, obviously, of technology. I'm not exactly a technophobic person, but I have a very cautious view, and my strongest objection to technology is that I am concerned about the technology that would lead us in this archontic direction.
Yeah.
A lot of the hype about the new technology in bionics and artificial intelligence, I think, is quite dangerous and probably delusional. Marshall McLuhan, who was this guy who was kind of a pop guru back in the 60s, warned way back then about the danger of a prosthetic device. Prosthetic device